Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a trip not through space or time, but somewhere way more complex, and honestly, way more fascinating: the human mind. I mean, really think about it. How does an idea get into your head? It sounds like such a simple question, right? But the real answer? How an idea actually plants itself in our brain? Well, that's been a moving target for scientists for over 100 years. It's a puzzle they're still piecing together. So today, we're going to trace that journey. We're going to follow the evolution of how we understand learning itself. And listen, this isn't just some boring history lesson. This is like a peek under the hood at your own brain's operating system. And the best part? There are real takeaways for how you can learn better starting, well, right now. Okay, so our journey begins from the outside in, with the very first scientific stab at explaining how we learn anything at all. Early on, psychologists basically treated the mind like this completely sealed black box. They figured, hey, we can't see thoughts, we can't measure feelings, so let's just ignore them. Instead, they decided to focus only on what they could see and measure: a stimulus from the world around us and the action or the behavior that resulted from it. One of the pioneers of this whole idea was a guy named Edward Thorndike, and he believed that all learning was just about building millions of these simple connections. Think about it this way. A hot stove, that's your stimulus. You touch it, you instantly pull your hand away. That's your response. Thorndike's whole theory was that learning is just strengthening those kinds of bonds over and over again through experience. And his big proof for this was pretty clever. He put these cats into what he called puzzle boxes, where they had to pull a lever or a string to get out. Now, at first, the cat would just do random cat stuff, pawing around, bumping into things, but eventually it would accidentally hit the lever and the door would pop open. The next time it was in the box, it was just a little bit more likely to repeat that successful action. This led to his famous law of effect. Any behavior that leads to a good outcome gets stamped in. But, as you can probably guess, this whole black box idea just felt, well, incomplete, right? It couldn't explain things like creativity or sudden moments of insight or how we organize big, complex ideas. A revolution was brewing, one that was about to shift the focus from what we do with our hands and feet to what was actually happening between our ears. And that big shift led us to the cognitive revolution. Okay, now we finally get to pry open that black box. You know, the cognitive revolution pretty much changed everything. From this new perspective, learning wasn't just some change in your outward behavior. No, it was an internal mental event. It was about acquiring knowledge, organizing it, and then using it. The mind wasn't a black box anymore. It was an active, buzzing information processor. And this is exactly where that famous computer analogy for the mind comes from. Think about it. All this raw data from your senses, sights, sounds, it comes into this brief holding area. If you decide to pay attention to it, it moves into what we call working memory. That's like the RAM on your computer. It's where all the active thinking is happening. And then finally, if it's important enough, it gets saved to your long-term memory, your brain's hard drive. I love this analogy. Your working memory really is like the countertop in your kitchen. It's the mental space where you're actively juggling ideas. But, and this is so important, just like a real countertop, there's only so much space. If you try to pile too many things on it at once, it just gets cluttered and you literally can't process anything new. This, right here, is the bottleneck of all learning. But here's the thing, that little information processor in our head, it doesn't operate in a vacuum. We are surrounded by other people, and as it turns out, they are one of the most powerful learning tools we could ever have. This was the big, groundbreaking insight from a psychologist named Albert Bandura. He showed that a massive amount of what we know and what we can do, we didn't learn through trial and error, or from a teacher directly telling us. We learned it just by watching other people, our parents, our friends, our peers. But here is the really crucial part. Watching other people doesn't just teach us how to do something. It also shapes this incredibly powerful internal belief called self-efficacy. Now, this isn't just general confidence, it's very specific. It's your belief that you can succeed at a particular task. It is the little engine in your head that says, I think I can, and powers you through the hard stuff. And the best part is, self-efficacy isn't something you're born with. You can actually build it. And look at that first point. It's not just about watching some expert do something perfectly. The real magic happens when you see someone like you succeed. That's when your brain goes, hey, if they can do it, maybe I can too. It's incredibly powerful. So, this brings us to the modern kind of all in one view of a successful learner. We've talked about behavior, we've talked about cognition and social influence. But who's in the driver's seat of all this? Well, it turns out the most effective learners aren't just sponges, passively soaking up information. They're much more like the conductor of an orchestra. They're actively managing all these different pieces, their behaviors, their thought processes, their social world, all to achieve their learning goals. And the absolute key to being a good conductor is this skill right here, metacognition. It literally means thinking about thinking. It's the ability to kind of step outside your own head for a second and just observe your learning process. It's asking yourself questions like, am I really getting this or did I just memorize the words? Is this way of studying actually working for me? Wait, what part of this is confusing me right now? See, that kind of awareness is what lets you consciously use different strategies. Take this simple four-step process, for example. It's used in a method called reciprocal teaching, and it forces you to actively engage with what you're reading instead of just letting your eyes glaze over the page. You stop being a passive reader and you become an active participant in your own learning. So our journey has taken us all the way from a cat in a box to the conductor of an orchestra. We've seen that learning isn't just something that happens to you. It's a complex, self-directed skill that you can get better at. Understanding these ideas isn't just academic, it's like being handed a toolkit for your own mind. So the only real question left is the one right there on the screen. How are you going to use it?